What is happening, everyone? I thought, as I am currently on my second year visa, I thought I would sit down today and make a little video that I probably would have liked to watch before I come, just with like the main things that you need to do in order to get a visa, like how to actually apply for the visa, things that you should consider doing before you actually get here, things that you'll probably need to do as soon as you get here. Just a few little tips that I've picked up myself that you might not necessarily see just by searching on Google, and it might end up helping you get your visa that little bit easier. But first, seeing as this is a video about getting an Australian visa, I don't feel like it looks Australian enough. Right, this is what we're working with. This little koala bear, pair of Australian flip-flops, Australian flags, Tim Tams, mate. These are basically like penguins back at home in the UK, but well nicer. I reckon that looks a little bit more Australian, so now we can get into the video. Now let's just get into the video and answer some serious questions you might have that you can't find out there on the internet already. So obviously before actually applying for a visa, you need to see if you're actually eligible, because they don't just let anyone over here. The main things are that you need to be between the ages of 18 and 30. The second thing is that you can't have any dependent children, and you also can't have any criminal convictions. Also, you can't come over if you've got any serious illnesses that will have to be treated regularly while you're over here. So make sure you just look at the list of illnesses just to double check. And then finally, one of the other most important ones is that you've got to be from an eligible country. So I'm not clued up on every country that would be allowed to come in on a working holiday visa, but I'm from the UK and I know they definitely can. Most places around Europe. Yeah, so if you're not from the UK or Europe, I'll probably just do a quick little bit of research just to double check whether you can actually get in on a working holiday visa. After you've found out if you're actually eligible to come into Australia on a working holiday visa, which I'm sure most of you would, because I don't think you will get this far to watch this video if you didn't already know that you were eligible. The next thing that I'll move on to is actually applying for the visa itself. So the visa is actually not free, you have to pay for the visa. That visa will cost you around £240. That's what it was when we applied for ours, which will have been about 16 months ago. I'm pretty sure it'll be the same price now. So the visa is £240 British pound. And that can take anywhere between a few hours all the way to 4 weeks to get approved. So I don't know how soon you'll be wanting to go to Australia, but just keep in mind that it might take up to 4 weeks. I know from my visa, it literally was approved on the same night. I feel like we applied for our visas at like 6 in the evening, and before we went to sleep at about 11 o'clock they were approved. I've heard that with quite a lot of people that they've been approved within the same day. As I said, it can take up to 4 weeks. So just don't start getting stressed if it doesn't get approved straight away. So just the last thing on the visa, it actually expires after 12 months. So you don't have to leave straight away, but you just need to make sure you've got your flight out to Australia within 12 months of it being approved. So this comes in useful in case you want to apply for the visa, make sure it gets approved before you actually start saving. Yeah, but just make sure that you're out the country and you're flying to Australia within that 12 months, otherwise you'll just waste 240 quid. So basically, what are you paying for with this working holiday visa? The working holiday visa allows you to live and work anywhere in Australia for 12 months, but you're only allowed to work for one company for 6 months in total. So if you're working in a job and it's coming close to 6 months, you need to start looking for another job. I know there is ways around this. For example, if you worked in a coffee shop and the owner of this coffee shop also owned another coffee shop under another name, he'll be able to employ you in that other coffee shop, so you'll still be able to work for him. But for the most part, you can only work in one place for up to 6 months and then you'll have to move on. Which I would say is a good thing, because you don't want to really be working in the same place for the whole 12 months anyway. So now that we've talked about applying for the visa and what the visa actually gets you, I want to talk about a few things that you probably should have sorted or should be thinking about getting sorted before you've actually left for Australia. So the first thing I want to talk about, which is probably the most important, is money. So it says when you're applying for the visa that you should have 5,000 Australian dollars in your bank account before you leave. This is basically because the Australian government think that this is the amount that you would need to guarantee that you've got somewhere to stay, you can pay for that. and food and things like that until you find yourself a job. So it's totally dependent on you whether you're planning on traveling around Asia before you get to Australia, traveling around different places in Australia before you actually want to find a job. Things like that, like you might need more than 5,000 Australian dollars. So I'd just make sure you check prices of things over here in terms of rent, where you're going to be staying, food, any trips that you want to take. I would make sure you really budget before you get here, because although it says 5 grand, you might need more yourself. And I do know people who have come over to Australia on this visa with less than 5,000 Australian dollars. They've just maybe got about 1 or 2,000 and then they just went straight into work as soon as they got here. If you want to take this risk, because you might get checked in the airport for how much you have in your bank account, then that's up to you. But then you're also risking when you actually get here how quick you're going to find a job. Because honestly, you don't know. You could have spoke to someone who had got a job within about a month. You could have spoke to someone who got a job within a few days, but it's different for everyone. So I would make sure you just weigh up the risk of whether you actually want to come over with less money than you need. Because then you'll probably end up taking a job that you don't actually want to do. And at the end of the day, just being quite desperate for a job. While we're on the topic of money as well, I would say the best thing for you to do is set up a bank account in Australia while you're still in the UK or Europe or wherever you are. You can set it up while you're here, but I feel like if you are able to do it in the UK, then why not just get that ticked off your list? So that's what we done. We set up a bank account with Commonwealth Bank, and that's the one I'd probably suggest to you to get as well, because it's not the same in the UK, but I know over here you can only withdraw money out of an ATM for free if that ATM is the bank that you're with. If I wanted to withdraw money out of an ATM that wasn't Commonwealth, then I'd have to pay like maybe $4 or $5 just to withdraw some money. And CommBank is one of the most popular banks over here, so you'll never be too far away from a CommBank ATM. Next thing I'd say for you to probably have done before you get over here is to make sure your CV is up to scratch and to send it to yourself via email so that you've got it straight away when you go over here. Again, this is something that you could do when you're here, but these are all just things I'd rather just get ticked off before I actually fly over to Australia. The next thing you'll obviously have to do before you get here is decide whether you're going to bring a backpack or a suitcase and what to pack in it. It honestly depends on what you're going to be doing. So I'd say if you're planning on traveling around Asia before you get here, then obviously bring a backpack, because you're not going to be lugging a suitcase around Asia. But if you're just flying straight over to Australia and you're just going to be staying within Australia the whole time, then I'd probably say you can get away with a suitcase, because you're not going to be trekking anywhere really. So honestly, it just depends what your plans are, whether you bring a suitcase or a backpack. But I would honestly say make sure you limit how much clothes you bring, because I know it's hard, and I know myself, you don't know what to expect when you get over here. We're just going to pack everything possible. But when you get over here, they've literally got all the same clothes shops as we do back in the UK. Honestly, you don't need to be packing like 20 pairs of shorts and 17 vests or whatever, because you can come over here and get exactly the same as what you would have packed. You just saved yourself carrying all that around in a backpack the whole time. Another important thing to get sorted before you fly over here is travel insurance. And the main thing I would say to check with travel insurance, because there's so many of them, is to make sure you read the small print. Because there was a few that we nearly went to book, but when you actually get to the bottom of the small print, a few of them had weird things like you need to have your return flight already booked before you fly over here, or this insurance would be void. So if you never read through the small print and you had an injury or something like that that you needed to use the insurance for, and they asked you to prove that you had your return flight booked already, then that insurance is basically void and you just wasted yourself a couple of £100. In terms of actually getting to Australia and booking a flight, I would say the best thing to do is just to check on Skyscanner every few weeks or every few days, however long you've got to book it, because the prices change every day on Skyscanner. It's really good, because if you don't really know whereabouts in Australia you want to go, you just want to get over here as cheap as possibly, basically. Because let's face it, that's what most people are going to do. You can just put in Australia and then put the cheapest month to fly, and then that can basically help you make your decision whereabout you want to fly and when you want to fly. But when I'm talking about flying over here cheap, you've got to remember that it's probably going to take at least 24 hours to fly over here. So you might want to spend a little bit more money on flying with someone like Emirates, where you know you're going to have a comfy flight, and you're not stressing the whole time leading up to it. And even Emirates flights could end up being cheaper than a lower quality airline, just if you pick the dates right. Also, if you're going to be checking on Skyscanner every couple of days, make sure you delete your cookies, because I don't know if this actually is true or not, but I think that if they know that you're looking at the same flights over and over, they know you're interested, and the prices might start to creep up. So just delete your cookies before you search again, and you might see the prices drop down a little bit. So let's just assume you've got your visa, booked your flight, you got over here fine. Now I just want to talk about a few things that you should do as soon as you get here. One of the first and most important things that you need is a tax file number. This is basically what you'll need to get a job, but it's literally so simple to sign up for. If you literally just type in Google Australian tax file number, you'll find all the information you need. Just go to the government website, make an account. It's free. The next thing I'll tell you to do is make sure you've got a decent SIM card. I don't know if it's the best one, but I know the one that we use and has been perfectly fine for us while we're here. It's called a MASIM. I think we get about 5 gig of internet, unlimited text and calls within Australia, and then also, which is why we chose this one, you get unlimited text and calls back to the UK as well. So if I text or call my ma back in Liverpool, it's not going to cost her money, it's not going to cost me money. The last thing you'll need to do is get a Medicare card. So this basically allows you to get free healthcare while you're over here. So if you need to go and see the doctor, if you don't have one of these, you'll need to pay. It's free, and you can do it on the internet, and you just get a little green Medicare card that you'll always just keep on you. If you do need to go to the doctor for any reason at all, just check whether that doctor's actually takes Medicare cards, because I know some of them don't. But that's just a quick Google search again. One of the last things I'll probably say, which I forgot to speak about earlier when I was talking about actually applying for the visa, you'll see a lot of companies like STA Travel who will say if you pay them a certain amount, they'll sort out your flights for you and they'll sort out your visa for you and things like that. But I feel like they kind of depend on a person who is booking this trip to Australia being really uncertain about how these things work. But if you literally just take my advice that I've given you here, or literally just a quick 5-minute search on the internet, you'll know exactly how to apply for the visa, and you'll know how to find the cheapest flights. And I feel like if you used STA Travel, even though they make it sound like it's difficult to do all this, it's really not, and you'll save yourself hundreds of pounds just by booking it yourself. And honestly, I feel like if you start booking things with STA Travel as well, then they'll try and persuade you to add on little days out and events and stuff while you're here. But it's all easy enough to book on your own, so I would say just steer clear of them. It'll literally take you 5 minutes to apply for your visa, and it'll take you a couple of minutes to look at Skyscanner every day, so just make sure you have a look around on your own. If you're really still unsure, then by all means go to STA Travel, but you could save yourself a couple £100 that you could spend on your first bevies when you go over here. So that's pretty much all I've got to say on working holiday visas in Australia. I've actually got my second year visa, so if you want to know how to get that, then make sure you leave a like down below, and then make sure you subscribe to this channel so that you don't miss the second video.